Hello everyone. Hi, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another episode reaction to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is right. My name is Matt. Hello. Last time on Buffy, what happened? I don't fucking know. We have a new character introduced to us, and that entire episode was an introduction to that character. We got to hear a lot of what's going on inside her mind. However, the situation with Dawn is that even though we spent an entire episode listening to her and seeing what she's about, I still don't know what the fuck is going on with her. Because the situations of her existence are incredibly weird. I have no idea where she came from. Nobody does. Everyone believes that she's always been around. And maybe she has been. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna pull the rug from me and be like, she was always around. What, didn't you notice her? They're gonna do something weird like that. I don't know, but like someone did point out to me a long time ago that I think there was a mention of Buffy being an only child. So it's not like we didn't see her, it's that she just straight up didn't exist. And I also don't know what's going on in her head because Dawn, so at the very beginning of the episode she's like, nobody knows the real me, but then she starts just talking about her angsty teenage self, which is like, okay, saying that shit about being a teenager is like is completely normal, right? Like that just tracks. And then she spends the entire episode just displaying how much of a normal teenager she is. But then at the very ending she says something like, oh, she thinks I'm just a normal girl. Well, she's in for a surprise. I don't know what she said, but it was something like that. It was something that, like, taken out of context, you could be like, oh, this is like villain coded, like something like that. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just saying that I have no idea what Dawn is doing, because it could be anything at this point, because like that at the ending came out of nowhere compared to the rest of the episode. For a second I was thinking, I recorded a couple of extra audios for previous episodes discussion as ideas came to me. I was like, maybe she has like a secret personality or something like that, because when we see her encounter that weirdo creepy guy outside of the shop, he starts telling her a bunch of shit that it really comes across as like that man is the only sane man in existence, even though he seems crazy. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, well, nobody else saw that man. That man was just appear when she was alone, and then he vanished by the time Tara showed up. So I was like, maybe that man is inside her head and she herself is telling herself these things. My number one theory at the moment, in case you didn't watch that episode, is that Dawn is like Buffy's human half, something like that. Like Buffy split into two at the end of Restless, or rather, that was the beginning of it. That was like the catalyst. And maybe last episode when she, no, sorry, 2 episodes ago during the Dracula episode, when she acknowledged her true nature, which is like, I'm gonna be a killer, or a hunter, or whatever you want to call it. Like at that moment Dawn was created because Buffy expelled her like human half or something. And Buffy's human half, of course, everyone thinks it's just normal for her to always have been around, because that Buffy has always been around. So yeah, something like that. I don't know. It's a fantasy show, or like not fantasy, but like a supernatural show. So like literally anything could be the explanation. I'm just gonna throw out ideas as they come to me, but like at the same time, I don't fucking know, man. I'm just gonna watch the show. We'll see what it wants to do to me. I will say though, it's a very interesting. I really like this idea of just Dawn. What Dawn brings to the table right here. Not just as a character, because we had to see the strong sibling dynamic between Buffy and Dawn, which is very rooted in realism, but not just the dynamic, but also just the idea that the audience doesn't know jack shit about Dawn, but Dawn is now here, and you just kind of have to accept that. Yeah, so that happened last episode. I also watched an episode of Angel that was pretty good. It was an episode where Angel went to a hotel that he used to frequent in the 50s. There was like racism and stuff, but also he just didn't give a shit. And it's fun to see Angel not give a shit, because this is the past version of Angel. So we get to see the development of Angel throughout the years. That was really fun. That video might be posted on YouTube by the time you're watching this. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do with that video, but right now it's on Patreon, but it might be on YouTube. I don't know. All right, we should begin. It's getting late. Patreon, check out the Patreon link in the description below. Pop up on the screen. You can support the channel. Watch full-length reactions for all of Buffy early reactions and Angel watch-alongs. All right, that's gonna be it. Let us begin. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, season 5, episode 3. Let's go.
No, I was wrong. Just incompetent burglars.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe it's definitely time to start looking for a new place.
Something a little nicer. Hey, Buffy, how's that book? Full of zippy dates and zesty names?
Okay.
I'm fine. I'm enjoying the studying.
She's really
Who
into
are you
this.
lately? Give it up and watch the movie.
If you really want, we can fight you as well.
Incompetently dubbed Kung Fu. Our most valuable Chinese import.
I mean, I love that, honestly.
Ow! Oh, give me a break. This is all wrong. See, first you would get the big guy, like a flying kick. Then you would take it off little ones. Bam, bam. See, now with the flying kick.
Buffy would have a great YouTube channel, like martial artist reacts to martial arts in video games. There's a channel that does that. I watch it. It's pretty good.
Who uses a cauldron anymore?
The price with which I purchase the death of the Slayer.
Bro, we need to get you some toothbrush, man. Alright, so that scene was, a lot was happening. We got a very clear view into Xander's dysfunctional family, how bad it is. And Buffy just doesn't give a shit about, like, hanging out anymore. She's just studying. That's concerning. That's not even the same Buffy I could recognize from, like, even, like, a couple episodes ago.
I want it. Pay anything.
Oh.
Xander Harris?
No, Riley, Finn. This is Xander.
This very casual-looking man. Ah.
And closet space, and that's the bedroom.
Guys, you can't save it for the bedroom.
Chill! For, like, 5 seconds!
Oh, credit check. We'll check on the credit. See how credible my checks are.
This is a difficult adulting episode.
Why can't we have it?
I told you, my construction job is ending and I won't have any more money coming in. You do have your own place.
So when I want to visit you, I have to be in that awful basement?
Not forever, just until things come together.
Which is when, Xander? Because right now, things are looking pretty untogether, and you can't expect me just to wait around for...
Quiet, please, Anya.
My arm hurts, and I'm
Oh
tired.
my god.
And I don't really feel like taking it to tour of beautiful things that I can't have.
This episode is rough so far, and so they were like 5 minutes. Oh god!
Feeble man, you are not likely to strike me.
Is this a smart thing to do?
You are not the Slayer. You do not concern me.
Okay, so a very one-track mind, a very driven man on a job. That's actually really good. He would have killed Giles otherwise. If he had been like any other demon, he would have just killed Giles.
He ran away, huh?
Sort of more turned and swept out majestically, I suppose. Well, I'm not dead or unconscious, so I say bravo for me. He uses tools, devices.
Okay.
Oh, he's also supposed to be very focused. And since he mentioned the Slayer, I think we know what the focus is.
Hi, Spike.
What are you doing here, Spike?
You know, gunning trash.
I'm scavenging, ain't I?
Yeah.
Very pretty.
God, he's a hobo vampire.
You mean a great tall roby thing like that one?
Oh, I thought he was fucking with them. Shit. Oh my god.
Oh, very nice! Watch out!
Oh boy.
Hey,
You good? The fight's not over, by the way.
Buffy, he's gone.
What the fuck?
He disappeared.
No, he didn't. He did something to Xander. This is part of the plan. Did he, like, jump into his body or something? Okay, yeah. Sure. He created a doppelganger or something? Okay. So is this the real one or the fake
Anya,
one?
You trying to use the hot plate again?
Man, this is a bad way to wake up. Still not sure if this is the real one or not. I'm not sure what the device did. It's interesting to have a Xander episode.
What? No way.
Buffy. Need Buffy.
Come on, man.
Come on, Buffy.
Oh god. I was saying, who's coming behind him? Oh my god.
They hung up.
I'm still not sure which Xander's the real one, by the way. The twist could be that the Xander we're following is actually the demon. I was wondering where you were.
Get out of here. Mom, I can stand in the hallway, right?
This must be my 2 teenage girls in the house headache.
You gave her a headache. I did not. Did I give you a headache, Mom? I'm sure a part of it. She didn't say I couldn't stand here.
Close the door.
No!
Is that a harmony? A Harmony to beat up? Or is it a Buffy?
Oh, Slayer.
No, it's a Buffy.
One of these days.
So, Spike is slowly losing it.
Yeah, in my trailer, okay? I'm talking to all the guys today. The job's winding down.
Welcome to payback, Mr. Evil Plan Face Dealer. You get my being fired absolutely free.
Bro, just go to Buffy or whatever. Like, what are you doing? What if this is the demon that actually fixes Xander's life? He, like, stands up for himself?
And you haven't done much construction work before this, is that right?
I knew they were gonna notice that.
That's surprising, because your work here has been first rate. You know, we have another job lined up in Carlton when we finish here. You ever think about staying on full time?
What? Why isn't he firing me?
Oh, this is
I was
interesting.
thinking that I'd have you head up our interior carpentry crew.
That would be great.
Promotion? But I mean, he didn't... Doesn't see the shiny thing?
Bro, what are you doing? This kind of reminds you of the episode with Faith. Who are you? He's watching his life from an outside perspective.
There comes a point where you either have to move on or just buy yourself a Klingon costume and go with it.
Well, I hope you'll be happy here, Mr. Harris. Certainly happy to have you.
Thank you.
What is that coin?
And please, call me.
Is
I'm leaving my home number here. Even for, you know, non-business stuff.
Okay, that's what it's doing. But what is your end goal here? Still not convinced who's the real, who's the fake.
Man, I need Buffy.
Yeah, what are you even doing all day, my guy? Now, yeah, like he went and told the others now.
My face.
Whatever stole your face, it has to deal with the Slayer now.
Okay, how do we do this? I'm pretty sure that thing influences people, so I guess the plan of this demon is to like infiltrate until everyone loves you, and that's when you backstab him.
It's me, Xander, and I can prove it.
Was she at the meeting or not?
For a while last year, I thought I was lactose intolerant, but it was just some bad brie. Oh, we watched Charlie Brown together, and I do the Snoopy dance.
I think this was mentioned before.
You called me Xander.
Xander, shut up. Why wouldn't I think you were Xander?
Oh,
We have one ally, maybe two with Tara.
I got hit last night, fall down, boom, woke up this morning.
We walked you home last night, remember?
Will, did I do anything weird? Did I wave any
Just say that there
around?
wasn't.
Shiny things, what are you talking about?
Okay, he notices
Last
it.
night, thing has stolen my face, and it's going around pretending to be me, and it's hypnotizing people.
Toth. The demon with the creepy stick thing.
Duh. You guys were thinking it was something else?
Couldn't that be what the creepy stick thing did?
Unless it isn't.
It does make sense. It must be Toth. It's a robot. It's an evil robot constructed from evil. Told Anya to meet me at my new place. I'd feel a whole lot better knowing she's safe from this creep. The demon has taken my life from me, and he's living it better than I do.
You sound a little... You have to help me figure this out, you know.
But I never help. I get in trouble and Buffy saves me.
That's not true. Sometimes we all help to save you.
Oh.
Another great humiliation.
Oh.
And this time it's even worse. This demon, he's like taking my life, and everyone's treating him...
Better.
Everyone's treating him like a grown-up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm starting to feel like he's doing everything better.
Mm-hmm.
He's smarter and... I don't know, maybe I should just let him have it. Take my life, please.
You can't let him just take your whole existence.
Why not? It's not like I was doing anything so great with it. When he gets to the pearly gates, I'm sure the guy's not gonna go, hey, what a kick-ass comic book collection, come on in.
Anya.
You think he's after her?
She won't know. No. No way. No
There you
way.
go.
He can take anything, but he can't have her. I need her.
Really?
He could be with her right now. Figure out a spell, something reveal-y. I gotta find her.
You already knew he was taking over your life, and you didn't think about Anya till just now.
Hey, wait till you have an evil twin. See how you handle it.
I handled it fine.
Yeah, that did happen. She had a weird bisexual evil twin. I guess it's just. I guess he was just an evil twin.
It's all for you.
What happens next?
Well, at some point, we take off our clothes.
I mean, what happens next in our lives? When do we get a car? And a boat? No, wait, I don't mean a boat. I mean a puppy. Or
Okay.
a child. I have a list somewhere.
Okay.
I don't have time just to let these things happen. There's a hurry, Xander. I'm dying. I may have as few as 50 years left.
Yeah, just normal dying. You're afraid.
You haven't been hurt like this since you became human. Maybe it's finally hitting you what being human means. And we can get through it together.
You can't make it any different. I'm going to get old. And you can't promise you'll be with me when I'm wrinkly. And my teeth are artificial and stuck into my wrinkly mouth with an adhesive.
Can't promise that, but it doesn't sound terrible. And that's saying something.
Xander! Xander?
Get out. You don't belong here. Anya, it's me. He stole my face. He's trying to trick you. Anya, you know I'm me, right? No!
What is it? Make it go away.
Man, that's depressing.
I swear this time I know I had that locked.
Buffy, it was Xander and he needs us.
Oh, dear Lord.
He seemed kind of forceful, confident. That's
Yes.
not Xander.
I said, oh, dear Lord.
What did you find?
Xander is a demon.
They got split. Their soul got split.
Haarute Gemina. It splits one person into half, distilling personality traits into two separate bodies.
Okay.
Near as Toth was attempting to split the Slayer into two different entities.
Two Buffys?
Okay. We'll get back to that later. Let's focus on Xander today. The focus of today is Xander, not Buffy.
They're both real. They're both Xander. Neither one of them is evil. There's nothing in either of them that our Xander didn't already possess.
The Slayer half would be like Slayer concentrate, pretty unkillable.
But the two halves can't exist without each other. Kill the weaker Buffy half, and the Slayer half dies.
I mean, unless this is too obvious.
We lose one, we lose them both.
Look at me. Look in my eyes. Can't you see it's me?
I don't know.
Please, look at him. Listen to him. He's all smooth. You have to know it's me. I'm thinking this is gonna last about 15 seconds. I'm thinking less.
All right.
No, don't shoot him!
Don't fire the gun. That's gonna be it for the apartment. So we just got an answer as to what's going on with Dawn, but that might not be it because that's too obvious. They wouldn't give me the answer immediately.
Yes, you wanted to know if I wished you got hit by the ferule of Gemini. Got split in two.
Well, you have been kind of wrinkly about the whole Slayer gig. Instead of having Slayer Buffy, you could have Buffy.
But being the Slayer is part of who you are. You keep thinking I don't get that, but like, if you lived a perfectly normal life, you wouldn't be half as crazy as you are. I gotta have that. I gotta have it all. I'm talking toes, elbows, the whole bad ice skating movie obsession, everything. There's no part of you I'm not in love with.
We better get there soon. Xander kills himself, he's dead.
Duh. People die when they are killed.
Go! I have to kill the demon bot!
Demon butt.
Get out of the way.
Xander!
It's all right, Buffy. No, Buffy, I'm me. Help me.
Give it to me.
We have Buffy here. He's so smooth.
Which one's real?
Both.
I am. No, I am. Thank you.
So what do we do with you now?
Okay, Xander. You're both Xander, and you can't kill each other.
No way. He can't be me. He's all fancy.
Say stuff that
Well,
don't.
there has to be a way.
Oh, what number am I thinking of?
I don't think that's gonna do it.
11 and a half.
Wrong. Oh, but see?
We're all different.
Different properties went into each of you, but you're both Xander.
Oh, but he has a thing in his pocket. A shiny disc that stuns and disorients. Cover your eyes.
This?
It'll melt your brain.
Oh my god.
It's a nickel someone flattened on the railroad track. I found it on the construction site. I thought it was cool. No, Huh. It is kind of cool.
Oh, the demon's here. If it hits Buffy and it doesn't work, then we have an answer again. What if it hits Anya and we have two Anyas? Also, yeah, like this apartment's cooked. Okay.
Sword.
Is that it? We just murder a demon in the new apartment?
Oh, yeah, that cleaning deposit's gone. I was thinking the same thing. Hey, do you suppose we're both Xander?
So, what now?
And there's the same one right there.
Oh, we're gonna fuse them together? They're doing a circle at the back.
Psychologically, this is fascinating.
Yes.
Doesn't it make everyone want to lock them in separate rooms and do experiments on them?
A little bit. Like, I know it sounds really weird, but a little bit. Maybe not do experiments, but just like asking questions, you know.
Physical attributes.
We're completely identical.
So, do we have like 30 minutes?
Maybe we shouldn't do this reintegration thing right away. See, I can take the boys home and, we can all have sex together and then, just slap them back together in the morning.
She's joking.
No, she's not.
We just need to arrange the candles. Also, we should continue to pretend we heard none of the disturbing sex talk.
If you were putting a whammy on the people with the shiny thing, how'd you do it? How'd you get the promotion? Well, I'm good at that stuff.
Yeah,
I
like...
am? Yeah. And hey, how about that lady, huh? The apartment manager? How weird was it when she called me mister?
We're ready. Well, what do we do if it doesn't work?
Kill us both, Spock.
Alright. It might be better for them to have each other.
You two, stand right here. Let the spell be ended.
Let the spell be ended. That's not gonna work.
Yo, whack to one.
Oh.
I liked it the other way. Put him back.
That was a good episode. Again, that was like similar to the Faith episode, honestly. Like, she's seeing Buffy from inside Buffy and seeing herself from an outsider perspective.
Oh, and right there, that's where I got my heart all ripped out.
Yeah, don't worry about that. That was a weird episode.
I see you've joined the not sling-wearing crowd.
Yes, I'm feeling better. And I anticipate many years before my death. Presents?
Not unless you want my collection of Babylon 5 commemorative plates. I just thought you could help carry a little.
Me? Buffy has super strength. Why don't we just load her up like one of those little horses?
Anya. Please.
Fine. I'm just your slave.
How is it that she can always make me feel Suave Xander's left the building?
You two have your friction, but she digs the whole package. It's obvious.
Still, I do envy you sometimes. I mean, for the sanity. Not that I'm still into Buffy.
Yeah, I'm well aware of how lucky I am. Like, lottery lucky. Buffy's like nobody else in the world. When I'm with her, it's like I'm split in two. Half me is just on fire, going crazy if I'm not touching her. The other half is so still and peaceful. Just knows this is the one. But she doesn't love me.
Got something else for me to carry?
Huh.
Let me pack this.
Sure. Sure.
Huh. Okay. That's an interesting way to end that episode. Alright. So Buffy got split into two. Alright, so this is what I'm thinking, is that Buffy got split into two, which I already said previous episode, and it was split into two via this device, or a similar device, that accomplished the same thing. We separated the Slayer traits into the normal traits, and that created Dawn. That is the explanation for Dawn. However, because this show has taught me to never trust it, I don't think it's necessarily a fantastic thing to do, but because that is the way I approach the show, I think that might be too obvious of an answer to be the answer. However, what could be the case is that might be the answer. And the reason why it's too obvious is because it's not super obvious, like they don't tell you exactly, but they just give you all the clues that you can put together if you're watching every episode individually. Like, if you grab clues from every episode, you get there. So if you do that, you can piece it together. It's still, like, obvious, but it's not obvious enough. But it might be obvious enough to reveal it right away. That's what I'm thinking. Because, like, something that they might do is that they give you all these details that you can pierce it together, and you may be able to do so, and then they reveal it very quickly. Like, if within like the next like 2 or 3 episodes they reveal what the deal is with Dawn, then that would make sense to me, right? Because it means that every episode they actually have been giving me little bits of information in order to pierce it together. Even though, like, if that is the answer, by the way, like if that is the answer, that I pierce it together. If it's not, then whatever, I don't know. But like, this episode really feels like they're telling you what it is. Like, they even have a moment where they go, like, there's this device that splits people into different personalities. And then it's like, well, he wanted to shoot the Slayer with it. Can you imagine what it would be like if there was a Slayer that got shot with it and you split her in 2 parts, one of them being the Slayer and the other one being the normal girl? Wouldn't that be crazy? Like, they just look into the camera and say that. So, like, they're either A, telling you the answer, or B, fucking with you. So, there's no third option here. That is either one or the other. So, okay, we narrowed it down to a 50-50. Either I'm 50% right or 50% wrong, and they're making fun of me. I don't know if my belief in my own theory has gone up or down because of the way the show works. Which, like, I don't want to necessarily sound negative because I don't think this is a negative. This is just the way I view media in general. I think that it's a bad thing to punish your audience for engaging with it. So whenever Buffy has done something where it makes you care about something and then it goes psych and then points and laughs at you, because that happens a lot actually. The show loves doing that. That is the reason why I think Lover's Walk is like probably the worst episode of the show. It's actually a good episode, but in terms of lasting consequences for my personal trust and faith in the show, it has done irreparable damage to our relationship, because I can never take the show fully seriously anymore, because every time anything happens, I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna be like, but is this a joke? But are they fucking with me? Or should I get invested? So that's why I never know if I'm right with anything, and I'm never confident in anything, and I'm simultaneously kind of just dejectedly being like, whatever they want to show me, they will. I'm just gonna move on with my life. So that leads into situations where the show just straight up says, by the way, your theory is correct, and in my head I'm thinking, I'm wrong, they're lying to me. So that's how we end up finding ourselves in a situation where like the show is essentially looking into the camera and saying, by the way, your theory is right. I'm reading that and I'm like, I'm wrong, they're lying to me. But anyway, there's not much I can say about that. I already, like, yeah, I was correct. Like, whatever I said last episode, that's what it is. It's either gonna be the answer or they're fucking with me. Regardless of that, let's talk about Xander, because we're gonna be talking about Xander a lot today. Okay, this is the Xander cast, actually. This episode is the Xander cast. And I'm actually a big fan of it. I'm actually a big fan of a Xander episode like this one, because, okay, Xander is a very interesting character, and if you haven't watched my Restless rewatch, I made a video where I just talk about Restless for like 3 hours. Like, I'm watching Restless and I'm talking alongside it. You should go watch it. Maybe I'll put like something here for you to click on it and go watch it. But even when I started doing that video, I was like, we're going to be talking a lot about Xander. And the reason why is because Xander has a lot to his character. So much so that I was like, I don't want to make assumptions. I don't like making assumptions necessarily about real life people. But to me, it felt like maybe Xander was a character written from experience entirely. Xander is a character that, like, one that should not be named, just straight up wrote Xander as not necessarily a self-insert, but just as a vessel for a lot of things that like he understands on a personal level. And I think I got a reply from someone left me a comment that it was like, yeah, he did. Like, yeah, he said that he did. And I don't know if that's true, but I wouldn't be surprised by it, because to me that's kind of what it feels like. Joss explained that Xander was this incarnation in the show. It is a comment from one person. I'm not sure if that person is right or not, but if I am to believe this person, then yeah, of course I see it. Because Xander is a character that he's dealing with a lot of issues. A lot of them are rooted into his abusive household, into toxic masculinity, into just his inferiority complex of himself. Like, there's a lot to Xander. Xander wants all this connection. Xander wants this affection. Xander doesn't know how to get it. Xander has never learned how to get it. Xander actually gets distracted. He thinks that he wants a thing. He thinks that he wants like this, like, I don't know, getting girls, bro. Like, he wants that, but like in reality, he doesn't actually need that. What we need is something else. So he's like actually getting distracted. But like, even in the first episode of the season, like, he has a moment where like Willow is walking alongside him, and he's like, he essentially tells her like, tell me all this about your hot lesbian sex, bro. Like, that's essentially what he says. And in Restless, he does have a moment where he's looking at Willow and her, and he's like, damn, that shit's hot. And they're, damn, I wish I had that. I wish I had the hot lesbian threesome. And instead, I'm stuck here with bitch ass Anya. And like, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, bro, like, he's so lost in the woods. Like, he has, and like, it all comes down to a like moment of conversation with like Joyce, where Joyce asks him like, are you sure it's not comfort? And then Xander says, well, I'm a comfortador. And it's this thing of like, Joyce correctly identifies that Xander, what he needs is comfort, right? Like, he doesn't realize that that's what he needs, someone to take care of him. and for him to be open to the idea of someone taking care of him on like an intimate level. But then Xander immediately grabs that and he goes, I'm a comforter. And he himself establishes as he is the one that is giving to other people because he wants to feel like he has that like he's the one that it's in like control, which is something he never has, right? He wants to feel like he's the one that is cool, that people can look up to, and in a relationship he could be the man of the relationship, right? He could take care of his girl or whatever. Like I will provide comfort, I will provide for us. And it's this thing of like, bro, you need someone to take care of you. And you need to be open to the idea of someone taking care of you. But like he shuts that off. He shuts his own feelings because he believes that if he just seems better, he is better, but he's really not. And that's why this episode is very interesting, because this is an episode where we split Xander into two, and we got two halves of Xander, one of them being the soggy, wet, pathetic Xander, and the other one being more confident, more smooth, more like better version of Xander. But the trick is that they're both Xander. That's what's very cool about this. And that's why I was comparing this episode to the episode where Faith and Buffy switch bodies. Because Faith gets to see what it's like to be Buffy. And Faith gets to see the way people perceive Faith. And Faith realizes that, oh, these people are not bad people. And they don't think of me as like a rotten piece of shit. They actually worry about me, they care about me, and then her entire world changes. Like that is the turning point for Faith as a character. I love that episode. This is a similar episode for Xander. This is an episode where the very pathetic part of Xander is looking at the smoother version of Xander, and he's like, that guy is just better, he's taking over my life. Like it seems like everybody likes him more, like he's so cool, and man, I don't know, maybe I should just let him have it. I should just die, go away. And it's this thing of like, it's very sad to see him like think this way about himself. But like we've always, if you weren't paying attention, you maybe wouldn't have necessarily follow that. But I have always known that Xander feels this way. He's a very depressing character. And then the twist at the end is that guy is you. Like, that's not a demon pretending to be you. That is not a robot that is taking over your place. Like, no, that guy is also you. And that is really cool, because that is something that Xander needs to learn then. Like, he even has a moment where he's like, how was it that your boss was like, yeah, you get a promotion? Or like, how was it that like that the woman at the real estate or whatever was like, hey, here's my number? Like, how did you risk her up? And it's this thing of like, well, that was you, man. Because like Xander doesn't think highly about himself, and these are all his insecurities. Like, we've seen this many times before. He's very insecure about himself. He just doesn't think highly of himself. So in this situation, this is an episode where he thinks that there's a better version of him that is just doing his life better, and he kind of wants to give up. But then it's like, well, no, that was actually you. That you always had that inside of you, man. Just pull that shit out. It's like all the things that are holding you back are parts of yourself, but you also have all of these things that it can succeed, that can be really good. And I think that's really cool for Xander. And I think that's it's just a fun thing to have, right? Because it's like, there's no like magical solution to like magically fix everything about yourself. It's like, no, man, just pull that shit out of yourself. Like, you can always do that, and that's something always Xander can do. But like that's kind of the issue with Xander, is that Xander is a victim of the situation he lives in. Like, his abusive household, like the way that he seeks because he lacks affection, but like he doesn't fully understand what he is seeking, so he gets lost in the woods a little bit. Like, all of these things are things that if he himself were to fix, because there are aspects of himself, if he were to realize that this was the thing and he were to change them himself, his life would just be fixed. Like, that's the thing. It's the like, and this is an episode that actually kind of like actually does that. He moves into a new apartment, actually, for the episode starts when like his parents are fighting, and now this episode, I mean, at first it was like it was very cringe. It was a difficult episode because it was like, oh yeah, all this adult stuff, and they don't have any money, and he's fighting with his girl, and it's like, this episode that sucks for Xander. But then like at the end of it, it's like no, like actually he got a promotion. He risked up the realty lady, I guess. Like for some reason, like maybe that got him a sweeter deal. I don't know. Anya loves him. Like they're back normal. Like they didn't fight. Like they're completely cool with one another. And he gets to move into a new apartment, and it's actually a good apartment. Like it looks pretty nice. I wish I lived there. So it's a situation of like, damn, like he's doing good, and he like there is no magic that fixes life. That's just his life. So like this is an episode where like the entirety of it feels like for a good chunk of it, Xander is like it's gonna be an episode of like there's a doppelganger that is living my life better than me, and of course he does because I suck at living my life. I'm fucking suck. I'm fucking shit. Of course, everyone likes the other guy better than me. But then the twist is just like everyone likes you, man. Like you think that they don't. You think that you are not capable of doing things, but like you are. You just maybe don't have the initiative to doing it. The real issue is that you punch yourself down too much. And like I can't blame you for doing that. But the moment that you realize that like that's something that holds you back. And like the only thing you need to do is to just be like, you know what, I'm gonna stand up today. This time, I'm gonna stand up for myself. I'm gonna do one thing about me. I'm gonna go and do one thing, and it's like you do it, and then it's like, oh shit, that worked out. All right, and then you keep doing it, and that's it. Because Smooth Xander is also a part of Xander. It is a part of Xander that, on some level, it is being held back by pathetic Xander, but like parts of Xander that people like are also his pathetic parts. Like that is also part of Xander's personality. But pathetic Xander is not pathetic Xander. He's just Xander, and he is able to be capable of Xander. He just has to believe in himself. And like we see in this episode, if he does, he can do pretty well because he like goes to see himself get a promotion, and like he's fully expecting the job to just go under, right? Like he's expecting him to get fired. He was already expecting himself to get fired, and then he's like, oh, he got a promotion, what the fuck? And it's like he himself believes that he's not capable. He believes that he's doing wrong, and he believes that they're gonna fire him, but then it's like, no, reality says you're good, man. Chill. So yeah, that's a good element of Xander that this entire episode was. I liked it. I do wish Anya would have gotten her threesome with her one boyfriend. You know, like fully. Like, I understand that. Like, honestly, I'm kind of upset that Anya didn't get her happy ending. I mean, she got a happy ending. It's just not the happiest ending. But sure, we'll take it. They move into a new place. They did have like a small fight at the end, but it wasn't like a big fight. It was like a normal couples fight. I mean, it's not a fight. That's the wrong word. He's like, can you carry this for me? And she's like, oh, I'm your slave. And then she does. And it was a moment where Xander actually was Smooth Xander for a second. And like that, I think that was the point of that. It was to show you that Xander has a moment of like, you know what? You move that for me, okay? It's like it's such a minor thing, but it's like he's actually doing something for himself. It's like, you do it. And then to have the conversation with Riley, where Riley essentially says like, she loves the whole package, you can tell. But then the interesting ending to the episode is that Riley then says, she doesn't love me, which is okay. It's something that I can see what he means, and I also kind of like, because it tells us that Riley's very aware of what is in Buffy's heart. And like, there's a couple of ways we can take that. Maybe there is some kind of, you know, like Buffy's soul got split in half, so he's dating the Slayer half, and the Slayer half does not care about relationships as much as she cares about slaying. But it could also be kind of a commentary on the fact that Buffy, kind of oddly similar to Xander, Buffy consistently seeks relationships, and she's always in a relationship with someone. Like, ever since the first episode of the show, she's always been chasing boys or having a weird thing with a boy and always thinking about dating someone, unless she's already dating that person. And then that kind of becomes the center of her world, is slaying and a boyfriend. And I've spoken many times about that and how I think it's a little bit weird for her. But that at this point, that's just a character trait of Buffy. And I'm thinking that maybe Riley is able to identify that. Like, he might just be talking about the fact that she's just so focused on her Slayer work, so he doesn't feel like she loves him, and like I think that makes sense. But he might also be identifying the fact that Buffy wants to be in a relationship more than she loves a specific person. So to Buffy, she wants to have a boyfriend, but she doesn't love Riley, specifically Riley. Maybe that's what he's referring to. And that's something I can see, actually. That's something I can see. Because, like, again, like, she had her Parker arc or whatever, and then she, like, started having things with Riley, like, 2 episodes later. And the thing with Parker was, like, 5 episodes after the thing with Angel, which was a very long ongoing saga. So it's like, okay. Again, I mentioned this many times before, but like, yeah, that's what I'm thinking about regarding Buffy and relationships. And I'm thinking that maybe Riley identifies that. Is that he identifies that Buffy actually doesn't care about him as much as one should in a relationship. She actually cares about the idea of being with someone. And it's like, oh, this is a very nice guy. I like this guy. This guy's great. But she doesn't love him. And this makes this relationship very interesting because Riley identifies that this is the case, but then he just kind of smiles and lets it happen. Xander sees it happen, and like his face at the end is like he doesn't get it. He's like, oh, like he's so shook, and it's like it makes sense because like I think that's something we were supposed to see there. Maybe it's a contrast between the relationship between Xander and Anya, where Xander and Anya, they bicker, there's a friction, like they do like argue every now and then, but like they really like each other, especially Anya likes Xander. Xander might sometimes get a little lost in what he thinks he needs. There is a moment earlier in the episode where Willow was like, wait, like this entire time there's been a clone of you haven't thought about Anya until now. And it's this thing where like maybe that is supposed to be a commentary on pathetic Xander being pathetic Xander, like thinks too much about himself. Because it's like the self-pity situation of like everything bad happens to me, but he's not thinking about anyone else. Or maybe it's a comment on Xander himself. Like Xander himself focuses too much of himself and he's not thinking about Anya because he doesn't actually care about Anya that much. Maybe that could be the case. I watched Restless and it looked like he was getting really distracted over the hot lesbians rather than, you know, Anya, who's beautiful and good and weird, but she's awesome right next to him. So I don't know where Xander's gonna go in regards to his relationship, but it seems like their relationship is like more akin to a stable, good, normal relationship. Like it's a more grown-up relationship, oddly enough. When it comes to Buffy and Riley, it feels more performative. It feels like we see each other, we come to visit, we start kissing, and then it's like we're being very kind to one another. But that doesn't actually speak as to an actual relationship, though. Like an actual relationship, and not necessarily a romantic one, but a relationship with another human being is a relationship where you're both like very honest with one another, and you're both not afraid of being yourself in front of the other person. A relationship between Buffy and Riley feels like they're both very nice to one another, which means that, I mean, not necessarily because Riley's just a chill dude, but it might be an indicator of the fact that like they don't have those moments where they just argue, like with Annie and Xander. So they're not like actually interacting in a sense where they're both talking from each other's like perspective, from each other's hearts. They're all just pretending in order to maintain the peace of the relationship. And Riley's just nice, and he wants to be around Buffy because it sounds like he loves her. And he genuinely likes her so much, and that's what he expresses at the end of this episode. But then he just says like, but she doesn't love me. So it's a situation where the relationship is now essentially Riley knows that Buffy doesn't love him in the way that you should love someone. She's just kind of around him because she feels like she needs to be around someone, and Riley's good enough. So Riley is now in a position that is very odd, which is, I guess I'm going to continue dating this woman that I'm fully in love with, but I don't think that she loves me in the way that I love her. She thinks that she does, but she really doesn't. But I'm still gonna stay with her because it's my dream, and she thinks it's her dream, but I think that at some point she's gonna realize that it's not. So at some point, I don't think this is gonna last. That is a very weird position to be in. That is a very weird relationship between these two characters. And it's very interesting for Xander too, because Xander is looking at this. Because like, even earlier in the episode when they're at the apartment and he opens the door and they're kissing and it's like, bro, chill for like 5 seconds, dude, please. Like they walk off screen for 5 seconds and they're immediately making out in this separate room. In Xander's future bedroom. And it's like, y'all need to calm down. And like that looks as if they have an amazing relationship, you know. Again, it's the idea that Xander is looking at the hot lesbians and he's thinking like that's what I want, right? I want to see the hot lesbians kissing each other. But then it's similar to that in the sense that he opens the door and he sees both of them kissing and it's like, man, I wish I had a relationship with like that amount of like passion and raw connection as that one. But then at the end of the episode, Riley just tells him, this isn't it. Like what you have with Anya, that seems good. What I have with Buffy, I don't think she actually loves me. So that's very interesting for, not just for Riley, but also for Xander. And what Xander might be learning from that. It's the idea of like what I have with Anya, that's the real shit, right? So, very Xander heavy episode. I liked it. We learned a lot. Xander learned a lot. We had Anya prominently in this episode, which makes it good. I like Anya. I was just skimming through the episode. There was this like weird moment of Spike grabbing a mannequin and putting a blonde wig on it, and it's like, I'm gonna get you, Slayer. And then it like cut away and we never saw Spike again. Like we saw Spike being a hobo and collecting a bunch of trash at the beginning, and then we get to see him with the mannequin. He's like, I'm gonna get you, Slayer. And then that's it for Spike today. Dude, like I genuinely I need someone to confirm this to me, because this is the way I see it. James Masters just shows up to collect his paycheck and they're like, okay, do this 2 scenes, and they're like, all right. They have nothing to do with the episode. He's just gonna be there for like 2 scenes and they're gonna be a little bit weird and then we're gonna move on, and that's it. Like, he's like slowly losing his mind. He's making mannequins of Buffy and he's like, I'm gonna get you. He looked for a second like he was gonna kiss her, right? Like there's this like unhealthy obsession with Buffy from Spike. It's always been there, but like for a second I thought there was harmony, and I was like, no, it's still Buffy. It's still Buffy. Let me revisit what Giles said. It splits one person into half, distilling personality traits into 2 separate bodies. It's really funny. It's gonna be funny to like watch my reaction to that moment, because when he said that, I've laughed the hardest I've laughed in a while. It was like, ah! And if you haven't been following my channel, you wouldn't know why that is, and that would be really funny. If you're watching this reaction and you're thinking to yourself like, this is the first video I'm watching from this guy, and I'm not listening to any of their discussions. You're watching this and you're like, why did he react that way? And I'm like, bro, you don't know. You don't know the amount of shit that I said last episode. Then he says, as near as I can tell, Todd was attempting to split the Slayer into 2 different entities. 2 Buffys, yes. One with all the qualities in Buffy Summers, and the other with those in the Slayer alone. The strength, the speed, the heritage. Kill the weaker Buffy half, and the Slayer half dies. So now, if that is gonna be what happened to Buffy, then we need to really start worrying about Dawn. Because Dawn is like, what if we grab all of the traits of Buffy the Mixer, a very reckless, annoying teenager, and what if she couldn't fight back? Because like Buffy found herself in so many situations and so many problems that then she punched her way out of. But what if Dawn had that, but then she couldn't punch her way out of them, which is what happened last episode, actually. If Buffy wasn't there to save her, then Dawn would have died, and I guess Buffy would have died, if that's what we're doing here. The only thing that, like, contrasts this theory is that, like, Dawn being Buffy's half, like, they look different, and, like, I don't care about that. I literally don't give a shit. Like, whenever it's like a supernatural show, whenever I'm approaching a show like this, like realism goes out the window. I don't give a shit about realism because there's none. This is a supernatural show. The answer could be anything, and it could be justified in any myriad of ways, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be explained. It just has to like tangentially make sense. So like Xander got split into 2 halves to look exactly the same. Buffy got split into halves that look different. I don't care. It was a different device or whatever. What I'm thinking is that is exactly what the answer is. unless they're trying to trick me into thinking that that is what the answer is, and it's not. But I suppose maybe now I'm going a layer further. Now I'm coping a little bit. Let's say that when people watch previous episode, they don't immediately assume that Dawn is Buffy's half. That is what I'm assuming, but maybe someone else isn't. Maybe other viewers for the show don't assume that. If that's the case, would you be able to connect this episode to previous one? Because I think if this is the answer, if the answer is that Dawn is Buffy's like human half, if that is the answer, it's very clever for them to not show Dawn in this episode except for like one scene. Dawn is in one scene in order to remind us that she is part of the show, just that she's still around, but she's not featured in this episode like almost at all. And if that is the case, then that is a very clever thing to do, because it means that you're giving me the answer as to Buffy got split into two halves and then hiding the half so that hopefully in your brain you don't connect the dot. Because what happened last week, it was last week. Like, who gives a shit about that? Nobody's thinking about last week unless you're a freak like me who sits here and talks about every single episode for like an hour after I finish watching it, and then I have to do it again while editing, and then all that stuff, and I can't stop thinking about things. So if you weren't that kind of viewer, maybe you wouldn't connect the dot of Dawn, her entire existence from previous episode, into this episode, where we don't really show Dawn, but we actually do get an explanation as to what might have happened. So maybe it's not super obvious, which increases the probability of it being true. But to me, it seems super obvious because maybe I just sniper shot the answer. If that is the case, then I'm gonna pat myself on the back then. But I don't trust the show, so I'm not gonna cheer yet because I think that's too easy. It would be too easy to that to be the answer. But like, maybe that's just me because I'm a freak who rewatched Restless and did like 5 hours talking about it. Like, maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just a me thing. Okay, I'm just gonna stop here. This was a Xander episode. I really liked it. We'll see what the deal is with Dawn in the future at some point. I don't know. All right, that's gonna be it. Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. See you guys next time. Bye. But if you would like to watch the next two episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, alongside some Angel watch-alongs and full reactions, you can do those over at the Patreon. Check out the link in the description below, social media, all sorts of cool stuff that I do. See you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.